Started. I know a couple people are trickling in. Make sure you got a worksheet. Thank you for coming to our session today. Our session title is a little bit of a mouthful, but capitalize on your audience's short attention span. We're going to teach you all about how to use short form video to do that and hopefully increase your customer sales. We're going to talk all about attention, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, marketing, all that jazz. And if we do our job right, you'll leave here with all the tools you would need to actually start a short form video marketing strategy for your own business. So, on the agenda today, we're going to start with the basics of short form video and actually go through some exercises to figure out if your business is compatible for that type of marketing. Not all businesses are. Then we'll go through some results and what type of results you can expect if you do try this marketing tactic. And then finally, what's next, what it takes, team, budget, which we all need to talk about all the time. And then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. So if you can save your questions for the end, that would be awesome. And first, some intros. My name is Anna Zervos. I am the CEO and co-founder of the POW app and the POW Creative. I am lucky to be joined on stage by another co-founder, Maddie Mile, and our biz dev director, and Jill Brown, our marketing director. So the POW app we founded 6 years ago, right here in Colorado, and it was an app to basically battle the Yelp and TripAdvisors of the world. It helps you find the coolest hidden gems in whatever city you're in. And as we started marketing it, we figured out that we're also really good at marketing. So we had huge success on TikTok and Instagram and actually decided to found our second business, which is the POW Creative, which is a boutique creative agency that specializes in short form video, where we basically help other businesses find success on TikTok and Instagram through viral videos. Through both of these businesses, we've created over 10,000 short form videos, which is a lot of videos. We've garnered almost 500 million views through those videos organically, and we worked with thousands of businesses in many different industries, from food and beverage to plastic surgery to software B2B companies and even apartment complexes. So we really like to say that we are experts in short form video. With that, let's jump on in. So what is short form video, and is it right for you? We're going to talk about it. So I know that if you guys are in this room, you have 1,000,001 things that you're thinking about when it comes to business. Whether you're just coming up with a business idea or you are running a full-fledged business, you're always thinking, who do I hire? How do I hire them? How do I make my product stand out? How do I make money? How do I raise money? Data, legal, all the things. We've been there, I know it. But if you are in this room and you're in this session, we don't have to convince you that marketing is one of the most important factors in running a business and growing a business. Because you could have the coolest business ever, but if no one knows about it, what's the point? So let's talk about marketing for a second. Really, at the end of the day, it's getting people to pay attention to your business. And if your product is great, your business is great, if people pay attention, hopefully that leads to an increase in sales. But what is attention? Let's talk about attention. Good news and bad news. I'll start with the bad news. It's hard to get people to pay attention in this day and age. Unfortunately, the attention span is dropping, and we're at an average of 8 seconds right now, which is less than a goldfish. Not great, not great. And there is also a 42% increase in ADHD diagnoses in the last 8 years, which is also interesting. However, there's also good news. This is the easiest time in modern history to reach maximum amount of eyeballs. So we just have to be absolute experts in gaining attention, the right attention, and sticking out from the crowd of noise of people that are trying to do the same thing as us. There's multiple ways to do this. There's grabbing attention in real life, there's grabbing attention online, so we're going to compare the two. Y'all probably know about grabbing attention in real life. You see it all the time. One example is billboards. You're grabbing people's attention while they're driving, like this funny one for divorce attorneys. It's gonna make you look, maybe chuckle. They work sometimes, they're costly, they're not gonna be there forever, and they're not reaching a maximum amount of eyeballs, so it's not really the best choice. Other ways like flyers, putting something on someone's car. they're definitely gonna pay attention because they have to grab it off of their car. But most of the time, it's really annoying and it's oftentimes illegal. So let's not do that one. And then last one is PR stunts. If anyone remembers back in the day when Abercrombie would hire shirtless models to stand outside and get teenage girls to want to come to the store, it worked. I'm exposing myself here, it worked on me. While this is fun, it can be great paired with some viral short form video marketing. It's not super scalable, and again, really doesn't reach that maximum amount of eyeballs. But you know, it does reach a lot of eyeballs, marketing online. So there's lots of different types. There's PR, there's influencer marketing, there's ad campaigns, SEO, print. They're all great, but today we're gonna talk about video, and we're gonna convince you why video is the best. I'm actually gonna hand it over to Jill to talk about that.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so now you know the audience that you are working with. It is time to talk about the platforms that you are going to be watching short form video on. So I'm sure everyone is familiar, but these are the big three for short form video right now, which is TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. You might notice as you're scrolling on each of these platforms that you'll find yourself just in an endless video scroll. Seemingly all of them are the same, just pushing out the same content, and that's true. Short form video is being pushed to the max, and it's actually because of that shortening attention span, you can just have endless amounts of short form video content on all platforms and really recycle them through all of them as well. But what is short form video? How can you spot it? They are usually 5 to 90 seconds long with a vertical orientation, and they're quick, easily digestible, bite-sized narratives. But why should this matter to you? Why should you lean into short form video marketing for your business? Well, more than 1.3 billion people use Instagram, and TikTok has 1 billion users. That is a lot of eyeballs and potential customers on these platforms. You might be thinking though, like, there's just preteens on there, they're dancing, that's not my audience. That's not true. The leading growing demographic on these platforms is actually 24 to 34-year-olds. And speaking of Gen Z, lovers of short form video, they had an estimated $360 billion in disposable income in 2021, and their share of the market is projected to increase 48% by 2030. So they are not a generation to ignore, and they are making all of their buying decisions from short form video and informational, authentic content online. And everyone's doing it and spending big cash on it. So not only are all of these businesses on TikTok, on Reels, and utilizing short form video, they have Gen Zs in the boardroom who are helping them bring their brand to the forefronts of those platforms. So now let's decide if short form is right for you. If you grabbed a worksheet up at the front, we're actually gonna work through it together and kind of walk through your compatibility for this type of content. So I broke it down into 2 sections for us here. We have mindset and business. So in this section, these are your needs. So in the mindset section, we have willingness to go out of the box, silly, and super creative. And you can kind of just mark these as we go. So yeah, with short form video, it's not traditional marketing, and we don't want to be traditional about it. We want to get creative. We want to, post things that are going to grab people's attention. And a lot of the time that requires to be a little silly, a little out there. And it takes some adjusting to kind of get used to seeing your brand in that light, but that is what is going to make people stop with that goldfish attention span. The next thing is positive attitude and patience. So marketing on short form platforms can be challenging. You're gonna get haters, you're gonna get trolls in the comments, and you just kind of have to power through and be able to move forward and have patience so that your content is going to get to the right eyeballs. It just takes some time. And the next thing is readiness to learn new tactics, strategy, and platforms. So if you're not on any of these platforms, if you're not used to this type of marketing, of course, it's gonna take some adjustment period, and you're gonna have to be ready to just kind of buckle down and accept, help from others to learn new things. While if you've been in business for a while, it might be like old dog, new tricks type of thing, but we have to move with the new forms of marketing, and that is just part of the needs for your mindset to be in that realm. And the last thing for mindset is just the ability to relinquish some brand control to a social media professional. Maybe this person is a Gen Z, maybe this person's a lot younger than you, but you want to utilize that to your advantage. So being able to take your brand and communicate it to someone else and let them help you. And then on the business side, do you have constant newness? Or do you have new products, new menu items, events, deals that you want to tell your audience about? This is really great for short form because you constantly have new things that you want to tell people and new subjects of content for your videos. And then do you have someone who's willing to be on camera? That's a big one. Is it you? Are you okay with that? Do you have employees who can do that? Or do you have the ability to bring other people in to be on camera? People like Gen Zs and people who are on these platforms want to see your face. They want to feel like there is a business owner behind the business and not just ads and ads for them to look at. And then the next thing is time and resources to create said content. It takes a lot of time. It may seem simple to just record a video and hit post, but there's so much more to it than that. And you'll need time, you'll need resources, or the ability to hire others to do so, which leads us into a budget. Do you have a budget to dedicate to marketing? Are you ready to go full force into it and dedicate that time? You can mark them here. And if you have a lot here in this absolutely somewhat, then you might be ready to move into short form video marketing. But being realistic, if you're more on the hesitant, definitely not, maybe it's not quite for you, okay?
Okay, thank you, Jill. Now we're gonna go into some results and expectations. So we just kind of went through what the basics are and if you and your business are right for this platform, but what can you expect out of it? Because it's not really a normal marketing strategy where you might put an ad out and know exactly how much you want to spend per user click. Who here knows what a KPI is? Raise your hand. Awesome. So it stands for Key Performance Indicator, and it's basically a fancy way to say, how are you judging the success of your business? It's really important in life and in general to have KPIs, but in marketing specifically, if you're going to hire somebody, they need to know what your most important KPI is. What is that North Star goal, so they can be aware of what types of strategy to use for short form video marketing. There are lots of different types of KPIs, but we usually bucket them under these 3 umbrellas. The first is community building. So maybe you don't want to go extremely viral and have hundreds of millions of people knowing about you. Maybe you just want a really core, solid community that engages with you and kind of is adapting to any product you put out. Another one is increased sales. I mean, we all want to make money, so that would be great, but maybe you're just like, I just need to sell and I need those numbers. And then the third is brand awareness. So maybe that is virality. You just want everybody to know your name. You want to become a household name. You want the business to just start being talked about in communities kind of everywhere. We're going to go through some examples of how we can actually take those KPIs and make them happen with short form video. So I mentioned that the POW app, we started marketing it and we found huge success. Here's a graph of our total app users over time. Can you guess what we started doing here? The hockey stick graph goes up. Short form video marketing. So in the beginning, we just wanted downloads. We wanted people to come on the app and just experience it so we could get good data on what people are liking and not liking. And how we did that is we started on TikTok and we were creating videos that basically highlighted hidden gems in different cities around the world. So we had POW Denver, for example. We'd say, hey, check out this hidden gem brunch spot. And we would highlight it on video, and then we'd say, if you want to save this, or if you want to find more like this, download the POW app now. The video would go viral, and then we'd look at Google Analytics the next day, and we had hundreds of new Denver app users. So we just saw it go completely one-to-one view to app download, which was so exciting. We went from 10,000 users to 100,000 users without really spending money on ads at all. It was just organic views. So that's one example of, for apps, how short form video can help. Now with those same videos, they were also affecting the businesses that we were highlighting. So this is an example of our POW Seattle video where we were highlighting an Italian restaurant and it got 500,000 views. And they said, we've been here for decades and have not seen action like that ever. After our video with you, we tripled in sales and we're booked for months. And that was just one video, just crazy. Again, another way, like their biggest KPI they told us was restaurant bookings. We just want more people to come in. We've been here a while, and for some reason, no one's coming in anymore. And through one video, everything changed. Here are some other examples with businesses we've worked with. We've worked with hundreds in different cities around the country. Thank you, the video's been up for 11 minutes, and the phone hasn't stopped ringing, so KPI client leads, that was happening in 11 minutes. We're super happy. After the video, we saw triple the business with just 70,000 views, so you don't need to have 500,000 views for things to skyrocket. They got new customers, and then over 100,000 or 1,000 people signed up for the email list for upcoming events. So email signups, another great KPI, all happening with short form video. Now I'm going to hand it to Maddie to talk through some POW Creative case studies.
Hello, everyone. So as a reminder, at the POW Creative, we make short form video for other businesses to post on their profiles. So our first example here is actually one of our very first clients called Wick & Pour. They are candle making classes based in New York. And when we were approached by the owner, Jess, they essentially weren't getting any bookings, to the point that they were considering closing down in a month or so if they weren't able to kind of speed things up. So it was very easy to decide on a KPI together, which was get more bookings. So we instantly dove into kind of our tried and true tactics that we had, and just started creating videos right off the bat. And within the first 3 months, we had multiple viral videos that actually got them to have enough bookings to at least kind of be breaking even. And then over the first year, they were then starting to make a profit. So they were able to put money away that after the first year of working together, they were able to move from Rockaway Beach, which was around like an hour outside of New York, into a location actually in Manhattan. So that was a huge step for them. And then in year 2, it was kind of all about, getting eyes on the Chinatown location. We did a opening strategy where we kind of launched their new location, and we pivoted the content to be a little more localized, targeting Manhattan specifically. And within the next year, we booked out pretty much all of their classes. It's a pretty small space. And we set up something called Fair Harbor, where they were actually able to track all of the bookings, not only how many are they getting, but where are they coming from. There was a mandatory field where they had to indicate how they heard about Wick & Pour, and 80% of all of the bookings were coming from either Instagram or TikTok. So that was a very great stat for us to be able to see that our videos were directly relating to the bookings that were coming in. Next up is one of our very favorite clients, who's actually in the crowd. Everyone say hello to Mark in the back. Hey, Mark. We actually met Mark last year when he approached us with his Vring app. Vring is an app for discreetly exchanging messages through vibrations, which at first when he approached us and introduced the idea of haptics to us, we had no idea what that was. So thankfully we had Mark and his brother Steve to help lead the way in understanding kind of what haptics was, so we could come up with a creative strategy to teach other people. They were working towards brand awareness. They were still kind of developing their app, and they wanted to start building a brand online so that when they were ready to kind of release their first beta version, they would have an audience who cared and were ready for it. So we focused on TikTok, and within the first year of working together, we went from 0 followers to 13,000 followers, and we garnered over 20 million views on TikTok. And a huge part of this was our strategy. So we knew that, teaching people about something like haptics was going to be difficult, so we kind of paired that harder to digest, more complex topic with something that was very consumable and already on TikTok, which was pop culture and cinema. So we used small clips from well-known movies like Devil Wears Prada or TV shows like The Office, and came up with creative ideas that basically taught you what haptics was through something that was more absorbable and consumable, and we saw instant results. We also had a great ad strategy that helped with boosted videos, and so we were able to hit those really big 10 million video views. So, and now he's going into a big round of fundraising with not only an awesome app to show his investors, but a great presence online. So good luck, Mark.
And I'll say my main KPI is my 13-year-old daughter. She started asking me about what I do, or I never talked to her about it. But so that was my main KPI.
Cool. And then last but not least, one of our clients that we are currently working with in a couple different cities is Smorgasburg. So Smorgasburg launched in New York in 2008 as the largest open-air food market in the US. And when they were moving to open their first location in Miami, we were approached by their founder to help them kind of launch their presence. Their main KPI was high foot traffic. So this was a little tricky for us because how do you kind of track someone seeing a video online and then seeing if they actually came to the market, because there's thousands of people coming in. So we started by just trying to get an audience so that people know about the market, so they came in. So we used a lot of the tactics that were working really well in the New York location and the LA location and applied it to Miami, but also took into consideration specific location-based knowledge that we had, thankfully, because we had worked with POW Miami before, so we knew the taglines and titles to use in the videos to captivate that specific location's attention. So we were able to quickly grow from 10,000 followers to 95,000 followers on Instagram in 1 year, which is a very good metric just in terms of growth. But one of the coolest things that we discovered is a way to create a video that would directly lead to foot traffic the next weekend. So we created a video around a Chinese New Year's event that was coming up, and the first thing we noticed about the video is that it had pretty good views, but the actionable metrics like shares and saves were off the charts, triple-fold what they typically were. So people were sending this video to their friends saying, hey, let's go this weekend, or saving it for themselves so they can have the address to make sure that they know how to get there. And that following weekend, instead of 10,000 people coming into the market, we had 30,000 people. So it was also kind of a triple-fold that we saw in the people who attended. And so that immediately caught our attention. We tried the same type of video that kind of featured our secret sauce for the next couple of events, and it all worked the same. So now we kind of have in our back pocket a great type of video we can roll out whenever we're wanting to push higher traffic into Smorgasburg. So yeah, those are a couple case studies, and our next quick little workshop is for you to think about what your main KPI should be. So as a reminder, when we're thinking about short form video, typically the big KPI groups that we think of are either brand awareness, or you're trying to grow your followers, view count, likes. Are you trying to engage a community? So are you trying to interact with them? Comments, DMs, online to grab the people's attention who are already there. Or are you just trying to directly increase your sales? Like Wick and Pour, are you trying to up your bookings, or you're trying to sell more of your products? Kind of decide what that most important KPI is for yourself right now. And then what's the current status of it? If you want to sell more candles, how many are you selling on a monthly basis? Are we at 100? Kind of tab where you're at now, and then think about the goal. Do you want to get to 1,000? Do you want to get to 100,000? And then once you kind of have that listed out, that'll help dictate what parts of the short form video you need to push a little bit harder, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, so take 2 minutes and brainstorm and think about your KPIs. We're going to walk around if you need help and you just want to bounce some ideas off. And then we'll come back together and talk about next steps.
I already said.
How many videos do you put out per month? Because you can kind of get an average on like how many views you're getting that result in followers, and also like the ad spend specifically on TikTok. You put in how much money is behind something, so I think you can do an amount of like followers you don't get directly, so you can calculate literally how much money it will take you to do that. So just thinking big picture, I think it's primarily like these followers, those like surface level, discoverable tactics.
You want an increase in sales? I think that's
28 after. 28 after. Wrap everybody up.
I'd also say that only for the awareness.
We definitely had to be very creative. We did a lot more we also worked with a business called Saturday Project.
All right, another 30 seconds, and then we'll come back together.
So it's not just an increase in sales, but also
so they don't get
Be careful around you.
an increase
Be careful around you. All those
I think it's capture or investing.
Totally.
But like we were mentioning, it just depends on like
Has revenge.
they're willing to get if they're like so serious. We don't want to do anything in that realm. It's really hard to but yeah, we just did a couple, not as like in your face as businesses. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, let's head into our final section. Come back, Jim. All right, so finally, let's reset. We talked about short form video basics, we talked about business compatibility, we just talked about some case studies and KPIs. So now let's talk about what it actually takes to start. You want to leave this room and you're like, I'm ready to go, let's do it. Jill's going to take you through it.
Yes. Okay, so now you know your KPI and you know your audience and you know the direction you want to go in, but how do you actually get videos up on your page going from idea to execution? We're going to walk through each bit for you. So first step, the short form strategy. Short form strategy. With this, you want to start with an examination of your brand. Who is your audience? Who are you wanting to target? And what questions do they need answered from you? That's going to help kind of guide where your content will go. And those are important questions to kind of really dig into and research. And that's going to really help the direction of, concepts and everything moving forward. So we want to secure that first, examination of your brand. And within that, you're going to kind of find your niche. Are you going to be posting comedy videos? Are you all informational? Do you want to have tutorials about your product and showing people how to use it? This is all going to kind of be definitely experimental as well. We can try a lot of things at first, and then whatever sticks, we can move forward with it. But finding your niche, finding kind of who exactly you're looking at is really important. We always kind of recommend picturing your perfect audience and your perfect customer and act like you are making videos specifically for them. You can even give them a name if that helps you. Give them an age, give them a name, give them a description, and it's going to really help kind of guide that voice and how you're actually speaking to them, not just out into the social platform like ether. Like there's someone you're actually talking to. And finally, what are your competitors doing? Do a little competitor analysis. Are they also on short form video platforms? Do they focus just on one? And what have they done that's successful? And how can you then take that in and implement that into your strategy as well? And next up is production needs. So you have the direction, but how do you actually make it happen and film it now? It's actually super easy. First thing, smartphone. You're already almost there. I'm sure everyone in here has one. So that's all you need. You might think, okay, why not a big camera, big production, lights? That's not really what short form audiences want to see. Big thing is authenticity. And the best way we can do that for your audience is by smartphone. They know you're a real person. You're not just like a person in an ad. And smartphone is the easiest way to become approachable, and all the platforms are really built for that type of content as well. The next thing is someone to film the videos, a content creator. So is that you? Is that an employee? Are you hiring someone to do so? Just someone willing to put in the time and film, and that's the next step. And the last thing for a must-have is a good idea and time. So that really wraps it up for you. If you have a phone, if you have someone to film it, and you have an idea in mind that is perfect for your audience and that person that you're speaking to, then you're ready to go. But some other things that are nice to have, not musts, but can kind of help elevate your production a little bit, is a portable tripod. You see we have lots of them right here. A ring light to kind of elevate the content a little bit. You can tap into your influencer status with that. And then a shot list. So a shot list, if you're not familiar, basically will just walk through your concept and tell you every shot that you need, the direction that you're going, mapping out the title and what type of video it is at the beginning, so that you have a really clear direction when you're filming and not just kind of coming up with things on the fly. This helps just to make it a little cleaner of a process and a little easier from production to actual execution. And we can move on to that now. So your execution needs. So you can film this content and have, you know, the most beautiful clips, but really what is communicating your video and making it special is the editing. So when you are drafting your videos, this is where the storytelling really comes into play. Are you going to add in a bunch of music? Are you going to add a voiceover and make it really storytelling? Is it really snappy and quick and fun to watch for your audience? This is where this all comes in and really helps to define your style. So this can be done on TikTok or on Instagram if you're on those platforms, but we also recommend some outside apps to work with that help you get really creative. Our favorite is CapCut. So I highly recommend trying that one on for size. And it's really easy and user-friendly and just helps you kind of really get creative with the content that you're putting out there. And the next thing is timeline, deciding on how often and where you'll be posting. Are you gonna try out all of the platforms? Are you gonna focus in on one? And how many videos will you be posting per month? It's really important to kind of set that intention at the beginning of your strategy so that it's consistent and that your audience knows what to expect. There's nothing worse than, you know, posting one video when you're feeling really excited and then 2 months go by and you haven't posted anything on your page. So we want to make sure that we're setting that intention early. And the next thing is posting and engagement. So with posting, you might think, you know, I'm just posting the video and then I can leave and let it do what it does. But it's actually really important to stay involved in that process. So once you post your video, you know, you might have people commenting and asking questions, and because things move so quickly on the platform, you want to make sure that you're right there and that you're engaged with them as well and being able to answer them on the spot. Because if you let it go for too long, they'll forget and they don't care anymore. So really important to monitor, engage with your community, and kind of bolster that as you are posting. And then the last thing is analysis and reporting. So super key with analysis and reporting that you are taking this content and all these strategies that you're trying out and looking at how they're performing, how your audience is responding to them, and taking that into consideration to inform your strategy for the following month. So maybe the comedy ones aren't working and we're like, oh, we're not funny, like let's move in a new direction. We want to take that into consideration. So let's do really what we love, analytics reports. That's our bread and butter, and seeing what they saved, what they liked, what they shared with their friends, and then being able to really lean into whatever was successful for you in the following month. All right, and now I'm gonna hand it over to Maddie, and she's gonna walk you through what options you have to really get this short form strategy going.
Yes, we have a couple options, but I want to highlight that one of those options is not you, the business owner, running your short form video. Just really want to point that out because you know you have a full-time job and this is another full-time job. So unless you're wanting to kind of drop everything that you're doing and start working on short form video, really the other options are a solo freelancer, an in-house team, or an agency like ourselves. So we're going to take you through some of the different factors to kind of take into account when you're deciding. Obviously, we're a little biased because we are an agency, but we did create our whole business model thinking that this is the best option. So that's why, you know, we're a little biased in that area. So cost, typically a solo freelancer could be your most inexpensive option. There is a range. People could be more expensive, but I would say getting someone for around $2K per month is on the lower end. In-house, you have to salary a team, so it does get pretty expensive quickly as you add on more team members, and I would recommend at least 3 to 5 team members. So thinking market value salaries, that can get expensive quickly. And then agencies, it really ranges. There are smaller kind of boutique agencies at a $5K price point, and then there are huge agencies like VaynerMedia that have hundreds of clients that charge $500,000 per month for short form video, which is crazy. We are crazy awesome, but we range from like 6K to 10K, and I would say most agencies aren't in the 500K realm, but just to give you an idea, there are larger businesses like Coach and Bose and St. Jude's Hospital that are on their roster and putting down some real dollar on short form video. Next is content. So I think across the board, if you find the right person in our team, you can certainly get quality content from any of these options, but really where the content differs amongst the three is on diversity of the content. So if you have a solo freelancer, there's only going to be one person behind the camera, and if you need someone in the content, typically it's that one person. If you have an in-house group, it's a group, but still typically a smaller group, so there will be familiar faces kind of in one location. And then one of the biggest perks of working with an agency is that we oftentimes have a group of content creators who are based across the US or even across the world. So if you need different people in different places doing different things featuring your product or your business, that is one of the best reasons to work with an agency. Us, for example, we have 30 content creators across the US, and we kind of rotate who's featured in our clients' content, so it's never stale, it's never the same face. Brand alignment-wise, if you have an in-house team, it's going to be the closest when it comes to brand alignment, just because they're there all the time, they're working for your company. However, I do think both a solo freelancer and an agency like ourselves can be very close and aligned with the brand, but it really depends on the business's communication. If they're not constantly telling us of any changes or new updates, there's no way for us to get that information in a timely manner. So if you aren't the best at communicating things quickly, maybe an in-house team who's constantly there is the better option for you. Expert knowledge. So of course, if you just have one person, you only have one brain. If you have an in-house team, maybe you have a couple groups of people who are experts in certain areas. But our team, we like to pride ourselves in each team member is an expert in their area, from ad strategy to trends to specific TikTok shop knowledge to platform knowledge. It's nice having people who really specialize in different areas, so that you have a team of people kind of supporting not only your ideas, but every part of the process. And then a couple last advantages and disadvantages to take note of. Solo freelancers are definitely easy to find. There are awesome groups of content creators and influencers online. I bet you anything if you put a story up on your Instagram right now saying, looking for some solo freelance short form video help, I bet somebody would respond. An in-house team, like I said, the huge benefiting factor is that they're always around. So if you're more of a timely oriented business, or you're really just based in one location and you kind of need somebody on the ground all the time filming content on a daily basis, they might be your best option. And then a cool thing about agencies is because we are larger businesses, we often have leadership teams and some time on our hands to basically form new partnerships or opportunities and take advantage of some things that, you know, a solo freelancer might have enough time to do so. For example, we are now TikTok shop partners, so we work with TikTok on a daily basis to help them create content for their clients, and in return they give us lists of their best practices, algorithm updates, new features, and whatnot, and then we're able to reap those benefits for our client accounts as well. So that's super cool for us, and I know a lot of other agencies have similar perks like that. And then last but not least, a couple disadvantages. For a solo freelancer, if you go with one person, of course you're putting all of your eggs in one basket. So this is something definitely to take into consideration, because if you lose, you know, that face of the brand that you've developed, if they quit, they could be gone in a moment. And even if they're not being featured in the content, they might have the entire strategy, you know, in their brain. So everything kind of gets lost if they decide to leave. And oftentimes these people are working with multiple different clients. So it's hard for them to kind of like focus and truly stay invested in your brand. An in-house team, we do work with a lot of awesome in-house teams. One thing that has been brought up is that oftentimes they experience burnout. If you're trying to come up with super fun, creative ideas for the same business over and over, and you're just kind of a small team, you can experience running into issues of, you know, creative block. And then for us, one thing to keep in mind is if you're not able to relinquish control, we might not be the best fit. We really pride ourselves in knowing all the ins and outs of short form video, and we truly have a secret sauce that works. But if we're limited and not able to fully dive in and do what we do best, then it's harder for us to get direct results. So if you're one of those business owners who's early on and still wants to be very, very close and kind of making all of the decisions and hold all of the control, then maybe starting out with someone you can not boss around, but tell what to do a bit more might be better in the beginning. So, cool.
All right, that concludes our session. But before we do Q&A, we thought we would give out some free video ideas. So for 5 minutes, we're gonna have volunteers just raise your hand, and perfect time to practice your one-liners or your mini elevator pitches. And you can tell us about your business, and then we will try our hardest to come up with a viral video idea for you guys. And then we'll do some Q&A, and then you're welcome to come up and chat with our team afterwards. So let's start. Your hand is up first. It's all you. Here.
Hi everyone, my name is Anita. I'm founder of Powerful People Plan, where we help build generational wealth through people's monthly budgets.
And what's your biggest KPI?
My biggest KPI right now is brand awareness.
Okay.
As a budget-friendly gal right here, I think one of the biggest things, I mean, I have a list of a gazillion pain points for why budgets are frustrating for me. They're also like unapproachable if I don't have time. So I think something that could be interesting are, you know, making a list of all of those pain points and then coming up with kind of like one-liners to instantly grab attention that are matched with something aesthetically captivating. So I could picture, you know, like Anna throwing up like a ton of money, and then there's some sort of line that's like, you know, do you not have the time to figure out your budget, or just some sort of pain point that really is thrown in your face, and then pairing it with like a quick 10 to 15 second educational like elevator pitch of your business. That's kind of what we started off with at the POW Creative, because sometimes we first started describing ourselves as a creative agency, and a lot of people didn't know that we specialized in short form video. So we wanted to come up with a very like short and easy way to catch someone's attention with those pain points thrown in their face. So like, oh, that's me, I totally deal with that on a daily basis, capture their attention, and then as quickly as possible, throw an idea, to throw your elevator pitch in a 10 to 15 second little snippet. That's probably what I would start with, just for brand awareness. But there's also a lot of cool competitor businesses, especially on Instagram. They focus on ad campaigns, not necessarily like organic content, but I do think there's a lot of content out there to kind of learn from and then replicate, but in an organic fashion rather than like paid ads.
All right, who's next? Your hand went up. Very good.
So I'm one of the founders of a brand called Joy Breeders, and we have a buttercream that was made for dry skin. And we push the boundaries of social norms, taking the power away from words. So this line is Moist. The lip balm is called Pouty Mouth, and we're launching a lube next year called Flash Flood. So the two founders are two hot blondes, and I think the most important KPI right now is sales, brand awareness, all of it, right? So I'd love some guidance on what we might be able to do. And I'm hoping to record this for my two partners. So, yeah.
This is perfect for TikTok.
That's what I was thinking.
It's like 7 videos in my head right now. I feel like even just taking those words and just flashing them on the screen is gonna make people stop in their tracks. So I come up with, like, you probably already have them, a list of like 20, and you can turn it into a series of videos. And what if the first one is just moist? And then it goes to you or whoever's working for you and is like, did that make you cringe? Good. And then go into your elevator pitch or something like that. But using those words kind of as trigger words a little bit, but making them front and center, really big in the face. It doesn't even matter what's behind the screen, really, because it's going to make you just be like, why is this on my screen right now? And I see that being turned into a series. And what's great on TikTok is you can actually turn videos into a playlist, so they all are part of like one video series. And when you go to your profile, you can see like a box of like all of the funny ones all together. So that's what I would recommend.
I have one thing to add. I think you could do something with having multiple people like react to the word moist, and like cringing away from it multiple times, so it's like in people's face and repeated over and over again, and then ending with someone being like moist and then putting the lip balm on and like showcasing the product at the end there. I think it'd be really cool, like street interview style. Yeah.
I also think there's an opportunity for some like behind the scenes content. I feel like a lot of people like hearing about like, where did you come up with this really creative idea or, you know, title for your product? And so, I mean, if you have like two hot blondes running the business and they're talking about how they kind of came up with the idea and where it all stemmed from, that could just be interesting in itself too.
Definitely.
The question is, what's it going to do to your algorithm?
Great question.
I have a bunch of samples, by the way, if anyone wants to.
Awesome. Who's next?
Hello, my name is Q. I am a founder of a brand called God is Able, and our mission is to showcase God's abilities through fashion, arts, athletic, and music. Mainly through fashion.
What's your biggest KPI?
Community building is my biggest KPI right now.
Love that. I think right off the bat, I think you are cool and representing.
You gotta be on camera.
I think you know, outfit checks are really, really popular on TikTok, and I know there's some that will like go through just like a day, or I mean a week in the life, and showing like Monday, Tuesday, and showing different outfits. I think that's a really great way to immediately showcase a lot of your products at once. And even like selling on the platform as well, like being able to like show the video of you wearing it and then having a link to the shirt that they can just immediately click and buy would be really cool.
A huge thing in the fashion industry specific to TikTok right now too is live streaming, where you kind of take your audience through different items, but the cool thing is you kind of have a story behind each piece, and if you're community building, you can also, you know, talk about your relation to God and whatnot while you're on the live stream. So it's a way to kind of not only showcase the awesome fashion pieces that you'll be selling, but kind of connect with the community a bit more. I think a live stream would be a really great way to do that. And you can also supplement and get people excited to come join those live streams if you put out short form video content. So kind of like a paired strategy specific to TikTok, I think would work really well.
Cool. All right, who's next?
Hi, George DeWare, Stride Tech Medical. We have an attachment that goes on walkers that measures how someone's posture is at the user center. It uses haptics to tell them when they're out of posture, putting too much weight on it, and or if their hips are too far away. So I can see short form video. It helps prevent falls, right? So we worry about grandma so you don't have to. And the short form video I'm thinking about would be something along the lines of the emotional tug, right? We're going to have to market to the sandwich generation, not necessarily to grandma. So, you know, any ideas about demos and how to deal with that?
So would you say awareness is kind of your
awareness and sales, right?
Yeah, definitely like more educational tutorial-based concepts, but in a short amount of time. I feel like any tutorial that you watch nowadays is a bit outdated, paired with, believe it or not, there's a whole grandpa talk world on TikTok, so you could take some of the funnier concepts and try to apply them maybe a little bit more in a heartfelt way. Just honestly, like, there's accounts run by grandsons and grandmothers where they just do lip syncing videos, and it's kind of about that like bonding experience between them, but people like love watching that content, so I think that alone would do really well.
There's a feature on TikTok called duetting, and it basically allows you to take a video and respond to it, and so a viewer is watching two videos in one, the original video and someone's kind of visual response to it. So I think it could be really cool to find those accounts and respond to them in a way, whether it's with the product itself in kind of a cheeky way, because a lot of them are dancing a little bit, and some of them are like dancing with their walkers, which is so cool. But it's like a way to engage with that community, and I would show up in all of those comments too, behind that brand name. So you're kind of getting your name out there in the comment sections and just, you know, not waiting for them to come to you, go to them first.
A lot of people think about virality in the sense of, oh, did my video blow up? But a comment can go viral, and this has happened to us before where we'll comment on something popular and we'll get 100,000 likes on our comment. So that's another way to get your brand discovered in already present niches that are on TikTok.
All right, let's take one more. You stood up. We can do some more afterwards.
Yeah. I have a question. Did you say sandwich generation?
Yeah.
Cool.
People who are taking care of their parents, like family members.
Yeah, you got kids and parents.
Sandwiches for their grandmas.
Although that's a video.
Population between two large populations.
So I feel like mine is particularly challenging. I don't know if this ends up good, like working for us, but I wanted to so badly because we are B2B. I am Cully Love, and I am Chief Impact and founder of a company called Love Work, where we want to teach people how to love their work. So we do an energy and drainer assessment to find out what energizes and drains you at work, and then you get 3 daily practices: an intention in the morning, an evening reflection, and a practice that changes weekly. That's like leadership development or teamwork or self-care. I feel like the self-care stuff kind of lends itself to this easier, but the self-care stuff is considered woo-woo by the people who actually buy the product, by the managers, by the ones who want productivity. So I'm really struggling to figure out how we reach the businesses and the decision makers in those businesses, or if that's even possible on TikTok, or if it's gonna have to
Definitely possible.
Okay.
I love this idea, by the way. I'm thinking like triple C. So I would create some niches of target demographics on TikTok that if they saw the video, they could bring it to their managers, or maybe they are the managers. So my first brain went to HR. I feel like HR would love this. And it would be something like our HR manager would see a video from you and bring it to us and be like, hey, I just saw this really cool new company, maybe we can try it out. So let's say we were just doing a strategy to get on like HR Talk, which by the way, there is HR Talk for sure. There's people that specialize in HR and they're consultants, and they basically train you on TikTok how to have conversations with your managers, how to ask for a raise, how to quit, you know, things like that. And there's hundreds of millions of views on these videos. So again, similar to my advice with him, I would like show up in those comments, I would duet some of those things and maybe stop them in their tracks and be like, well, I have a new HR tactic for you. I think that's just one niche of many that you could tap into, but that was the first thing that I thought.
And I also think you can utilize reaching out to specific creators who are kind of, you know, leading influencers in the HR world. There's so many different people that talk about their experience and not only give ideas, but also just like references to cool companies that they should be aware of that could help their business. And they're most likely, like she was saying, HR managers for certain businesses. So even though you're not necessarily directly able to, you know, go after the CEO of the business, oftentimes the HR manager is someone who would bring, you know, this opportunity up anyways. So creating content that's targeting them, but also just having kind of an outreach plan to have these creators make videos for you kind of around what your pitch is.
Okay, let's do rapid fire questions for like 2 minutes and then we can personally chat. Yes.
Follow up to Kelly's comment. For those of us that are doing business sales, where our target audience is on LinkedIn more than maybe some other platforms, what video advice do you offer for LinkedIn?
A lot of people just repost the stuff they make for TikTok on all platforms, including LinkedIn. I've seen it work. I think if you're gonna go ahead and make the video, might as well reuse it. It's not always going to work if it's like a super TikTok trend-based video, so we usually leave those out. But there is a world of video on LinkedIn, and I think there can be a strategy in place specifically for you to create videos that would do well on all platforms. But we have a B2B client, and we only do TikTok for them, and there's definitely ways and strategies to get to the right people. They are an event planning kind of software that restaurants and businesses can like put into their website, and so they're selling to business owners and restaurant owners, and they're selling to event planners too. So we kind of, again, create those niches, and then we try to get on event planning talk and restaurant talk and things like that. So I think just because you're B2B doesn't mean that TikTok isn't right either. It's hard to make something go really viral on LinkedIn. Yes, all the way back. Yep, you. The cool glasses.
You talk about that you need to. You talk about you need to respond in a timely fashion. Like, what is the timely fashion, and what type of comments can you respond with?
For comments? I mean, if we had it our way, you'd just be someone's on there all the time commenting. That agency we talked about, VaynerMedia, which is Gary Vee's media company, half of the entire package that you pay for is to have somebody that is checking the account all day, every day, responding to comments, and also commenting on other accounts, trying to get those comments to go viral. So it is definitely really important. I don't think you need to respond to every single comment, and you definitely don't want to make them vacant comments, like, thumbs up, you know, like, give some meat to it. If someone's like, I love your product, like, write out a sentence or two and thank them. You know, those are the ones that are going to go a long way. But I'd say within a day or two of something going viral, we try to comment back at everybody's, right?
Especially if they're like questions that are really like just for you to answer, like what are your hours, or like how do I book? Like that's going to be beneficial to you to apply as quickly as possible on that side.
You can also reply to a comment with a video, which is really cool. So if someone's comment is like, can you tell me more about that feature, you can actually make a video where that comment is like kind of pinned on the video, and then you're talking about the answer to that question. Yes, all the way back there.
So I get these comments all the time on our Instagram page, at least, where it's like this spammy kind of like, oh, this is Colorado promotion stuff. And I don't really know if I should delete them or not. Should I delete them?
Yeah.
Or should I just keep them?
So there's actually a feature on Instagram where you can filter out comments. So I've actually done it for my own like personal page. If I ever tag like Denver somewhere, I'll always get the same, like collab Denver, Colorado, tag us. But you can actually, you know, have keywords that you just don't want to see on your photos or in your comments. And so if you put in like collab, it'll get rid of those. So within TikTok and within Instagram, you can actually filter those out so you don't even have to worry about them anymore, and they just like won't show up because they won't allow them to comment that.
Well, I guess what I'm really asking is, are they somewhat beneficial somehow? Do they generate more eyes on your content?
They're just bots.
Yeah, they're just bots. Yeah.
And it looks spammy too.
It'll make you look like you paid
Why
for
not
it.
just delete them?
You can.
You
this
can.
is just
It's
a
an
hack
easier way to
to
get rid of it. Yeah, so you don't have to delete them.
Yeah, because sometimes when you go viral too, you get like 200,000 comments and like you can't delete all of them at that point. So
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok will do a good job at filtering out like actual hate comments sometimes, but they don't catch them all. All right, one more. Yes.
So it's on the production page that you focus on the must-haves of the smartphone, the content creator, the good idea. You kind of de-emphasize things like tripod lights and things of that nature. That suggests to me that production value is not necessary for short-form video. Can you comment on that? Is there a need for production value or not?
Totally. So what we're doing here is making disguised ads. Let that sink in for a second. We're basically putting out these videos that are ads. We're trying to get people to buy stuff, but we're trying to trick them into thinking that it's not an ad and it's just a user-generated video that's really authentic and interesting and entertaining or relatable, right? So the more you look like you tried, the more, I mean, I call this generation the BS detectors. Like, they just sniff it out in 2 seconds and you're like, you're trying to sell me something. So we have to trick them. That doesn't mean we're making shitty videos. It means that we're not having, full-on production with, different types of cameras and different lighting and what maybe a commercial would look like, which is still very beneficial. This is just a different style. But they still need to look good. Sometimes you'll see a video that has 100 million views and it looks like it was filmed on like an old flip phone razor. It's like, how did that work? Because it's authentic and people are like, well, I know you're not selling me something and it made me laugh, so I'm gonna like it. So it should really be more about the editing style and the content and again, that entertainment value or relatability and less about making it look like the most perfect produced video. And there is really a low barrier to entry. It's really just, you can make a lot happen with just your phone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I wish we could have more. But that's it. Hopefully you got something out of this. And good luck with your short form videos. We'll be up here and we have some more team members if you want to come chat. But thank you guys. Have a good day to start with.